Most people think every USB port is exactly the same. You plug something in, it works. And that's the end of the story. But look closely at your laptop, desktop, monitor, or even your TV. You'll notice something interesting. Some USB ports are white, others are black, some are blue, others are teal. You may even find red, orange, yellow, green, silver, or gold. Most people never think twice about those colors. They assume they're just part of the design. They're not. In many cases, those colors tell you important information, like how fast the port transfers files, or whether it's designed how much power it can deliver, whether it can charge your phone while your computer is sleeping, or whether it's designed for high-performance devices. Choosing the wrong USB port could mean waiting several minutes longer for a file transfer, charging your phone much more slowly, or failing to get the best performance from an external SSD. By the end of this video, you'll understand what each USB port color usually means, which ones are the fastest, which ones provide the most power, and why manufacturers sometimes use different colors for the same technology. But first, let's understand what USB actually is. USB stands for Hashed Universal Serial Bus. It's an industry standard that allows electronic devices to communicate, transfer data, and receive electrical power using one simple connection. Before USB, computers were a mess. Your printer needed one connector, your keyboard needed another, your mouse used something different. Digital cameras had their own cables. External storage used another standard altogether. Every new device seemed to require a different cable. USB solved that problem. Instead of dozens of connectors, one standard could support almost everything. Over the years, USB became faster, more reliable, more efficient, and much more powerful. Today, USB doesn't just transfer files, it charges phones, runs webcams, connects gaming controllers, powers microphones, transfers 4K video, even charges laptops. As USB technology improved, manufacturers started using different colors inside USB ports. These colors aren't official requirements, but they became useful visual shortcuts. While companies don't always follow exactly the same system, most modern computers follow very similar conventions. Let's begin with the oldest color, white. If you find a white USB port, you're usually looking at USB 1TON-X. This was the very first widely adopted USB standard. It appeared in the late 1990s. Its maximum transfer speed was only 12 megabits per second. That sounded impressive at the time because computers were much slower, internet connections were slower, and storage devices held very little data. White USB ports were mainly used for keyboards, mice, basic printers, simple scanners, and other accessories that transferred very small amounts of information. Today, a white USB port feels extremely slow. Copying even a 1 gigabyte file can take several minutes. Connecting a modern external SSD would be a complete waste. The good news is, most new computers no longer include white USB ports. They're mostly found on very old desktops, industrial equipment, or legacy hardware. Next, black. Black is probably the USB color you've seen the most. A black USB port usually indicates USB 2.0. For many years, USB 2.0 became the standard found on almost every computer. Its maximum transfer speed increased dramatically, from 12 megabits to 480 megabits per second. That made a huge difference. External hard drives became practical. Flash drives became much faster. Printers, scanners, game controllers, wireless receivers, keyboards, and webcams all adopted USB 2.0. Even today, black USB ports remain extremely common. Why? Because many accessories don't actually need enormous bandwidth. A keyboard sends only tiny packets of information. A mouse uses even less. A printer spends most of its time waiting. Using a faster USB port for these devices usually doesn't improve performance. However, if you're copying movies, backing up photos, or transferring large projects, a black USB port quickly becomes a bottleneck. That's where blue ports completely change the experience. Blue. Blue usually represents USB 3.0, also called USB 3.1 Gen 1. This was one of the biggest upgrades in USB history. Instead of hundreds of megabits, you now get speeds of up to 5 gigabits per second. That's more than 10 times faster than USB 2.0. Imagine copying a 50 gigabyte video project. On USB 2.0, you might wait a very long time. On USB 3.0, the same transfer finishes dramatically faster. Blue ports are perfect for external SSDs, high-speed flash drives, professional cameras, large photo libraries, video editing, game installations, and backups. Another improvement, USB 3.0 also delivers more electrical power than USB 2.0. That means compatible devices can charge faster, while transferring data at the same time. If your computer has both black and blue USB ports, always plug storage devices into the blue one first. You'll notice the difference immediately. But USB technology didn't stop there. Manufacturers wanted even more speed, even more power, and even better performance. That's when another color started appearing. Teal. Teal. If you spot a teal USB port, you're usually looking at USB 3.1 Gen 2 or an equivalent high-speed USB implementation. Teal ports can transfer data at speeds of up to 10 gigabits per second. That's twice as fast as the standard blue USB 3.0 port. For everyday tasks, you may not notice much difference, but when you're working with huge files, the improvement is obvious. Professional photographers, video editors, graphic designers, software developers, and content creators benefit the most from teal ports. Imagine transferring hundreds of gigabytes of 4K video or copying an entire game library. A teal USB port can save valuable time. Many modern external SSDs are designed specifically to take advantage of these faster speeds. Of course, both the port and the storage device must support the same standard. Otherwise, the connection simply falls back to the slower speed. This is one of the biggest misconceptions about USB. The fastest port cannot make a slow flash drive faster. The slowest device always determines the final speed. Next, red. A red USB port usually means one thing: more power. Many manufacturers use red to indicate an always-on charging port. That means the port continues supplying power even after the computer has been shut down. This is incredibly useful. You can charge your phone overnight, power your smartwatch, or recharge your wireless earbuds without leaving the entire computer running. Some red USB ports also support USB 3.x data speeds. Others are designed mainly for charging. That's why you shouldn't assume every red port works exactly the same. If your laptop has a red USB port, it's often the best choice for charging mobile devices, especially when you're traveling. Next, orange. Orange looks similar to red, but it usually serves the same purpose. Many manufacturers use orange to indicate high current charging. Some laptops keep these ports active while sleeping. Others continue supplying power after shutdown. If you own a wireless headset, Bluetooth speaker, fitness tracker, or tablet, an orange USB port can be very convenient. Instead of leaving your computer fully powered on, the port quietly continues charging your device. Different brands implement this feature differently, so always check your computer's documentation. Next, yellow. Yellow USB ports are often called sleep and charge ports. The name explains exactly what they do. Even when your computer enters sleep mode, the yellow port continues supplying power. Imagine you're downloading files overnight, or your laptop is sleeping inside your backpack. Your phone can still continue charging without waking the computer. Many business laptops include yellow USB ports because professionals often need reliable charging while traveling. Again, this isn't an official USB standard, it's simply a feature chosen by the manufacturer. So two yellow ports from different brands may behave differently. Now let's talk about one of the most confusing colors: green. Unlike blue or black, green doesn't have one universal meaning. Some gaming motherboard manufacturers use green USB ports for ultra-low latency connections. Others use green to identify special software features. Some companies use green for fast charging. Others use it for BIOS flashback functions. That's why green is one color you should never judge by appearance alone. Always check the label beside the port, or read your motherboard manual. It only takes a few seconds and can prevent a lot of confusion. Green is proof that USB colors are helpful guides, not universal rules. Next, silver. At first glance, a silver USB port doesn't seem very exciting. That's because it usually isn't trying to stand out. Many manufacturers simply leave the metal housing in its natural silver color, instead of adding colored plastic inside the connector. A silver USB port may support USB 2.0, USB 3.0, USB 3.2, or even newer standards. The color alone doesn't tell you much. Instead, look for symbols printed beside the port, such as SS, which stands for super speed, or speed ratings printed in the manual. Never assume a silver port is slow or fast, simply because of its color. Finally, gold. A gold USB port often gives people the wrong impression. Many believe gold means the fastest USB port available. That's not necessarily true. There is no official USB specification that assigns gold to a particular speed. Instead, Manufacturers usually use gold to highlight premium features. Some gold ports have better corrosion resistance. Others include thicker electrical contacts. Some are designed for high current charging, and others simply match the premium appearance of the motherboard. Gamers often notice gold USB ports on high-end motherboards, but their actual performance depends on the USB version behind the port, not the color itself. So if you're comparing two computers, don't choose the gold port just because it looks expensive. Always check the specifications first. Now that you've seen every common USB port color, one important question remains. Can you trust the colors completely? The short answer is no. USB colors are helpful, but they are not official international rules. The organization that develops USB standards defines the technology, not the plastic color inside the port. That means manufacturers still have some freedom. One company may use a red port for fast charging. Another may use it for USB 3.2. A third may simply choose red because it matches the design of the laptop. That's why you should think of USB colors as useful hints, not guarantees. So, how do you know exactly what a USB port can do? The first clue is the label beside the port. You may see letters like SS, that stands for hashed superspeed. If you see hashed SS10, it usually means the port supports speeds of up to 10 gigabits per second. If you see hashed SS20, it can support up to 20 gigabits per second, provided your device supports it too. Another clue is the charging icon. Some laptops print a small battery symbol beside ports that continue supplying power. Others use a lightning bolt to indicate higher power delivery. These icons are often more reliable than the color itself. There's another important fact many people don't know. The USB port is only one part of the equation. Imagine plugging an old USB 2.0 flash drive into the fastest USB port ever made. Will it suddenly become faster? No. The flash drive itself can only operate at USB 2.0 speeds. Now imagine the opposite. You buy the fastest external SSD available, but connect it to an old black USB 2.0 port. Once again, the transfer speed drops because the slowest device in the connection always becomes the limiting factor. Think of it like a highway. A 10-lane highway doesn't help if every car is forced through a single narrow gate. The same principle applies to USB. To get maximum performance, your computer, your cable, and your device must all support the same standard. Speaking of cables, that's another place where people make expensive mistakes. Not every USB cable is identical. Some cables are designed only for charging. They contain very few data wires. Others support data transfer, but only at USB 2.0 speeds. Some premium cables support high-speed data, fast charging, video output, and even external displays. Two cables may look exactly the same, but perform completely differently. If your external SSD suddenly feels slow or your phone charges slowly, the cable could be the real problem. Always use a quality cable designed for the speed your device supports. Here's another myth. Many people believe a blue USB port automatically charges faster. Not always. Charging speed depends on several factors: the USB standard, the charging protocol, your charger, your cable, and the device being charged. A blue port may transfer files much faster, but that doesn't always mean it delivers the highest charging power. Likewise, a red or orange port may charge your phone faster, even if its data transfer speed is lower. That's why understanding the purpose of each port is more useful than simply memorizing colors. As computers continue to evolve, USB is evolving too. Modern USB-C ports can transfer data, charge laptops, connect multiple monitors, drive external graphics cards, and even replace HDMI in many situations. But even with USB-C, the same rule applies. The connector may look identical, while the capabilities are completely different. That's why checking the specifications is becoming more important than ever. So the next time you look at your computer, don't ignore those colorful USB ports. They're more than decoration. They're quick visual clues. That can help you choose the right connection for the job. A white port reminds us where USB began. Black brought USB into the mainstream. Blue introduced true high-speed transfers. Teal pushed performance even further. Red, orange, and yellow made charging more convenient. Green became a manufacturer-specific feature. Silver often blends into the design. And gold usually highlights premium hardware rather than guaranteed speed. Now, you know what those colors usually mean, and more importantly, you know when not to rely on them. Because the smartest users don't just look at the color, they understand the technology behind it. And that's the difference between simply plugging something in and getting the very best performance from every USB device you own.